how's it going, my Comic Army? We're here today with Lance Lucero, the creator of Bob, or the Big Book of Bob, right?
Yeah, that's right. That's right. It's Bob, Non-Union Psychic, the Big Book of Bob. It's now the big compilation, the big graphic novel of the 3 existing Bob issues.
Where can people pick this book up at?
They can go directly to warehouse9pro.com and ne1world.com. I mean, you go to either one of those, it's going to take you directly to what's available for the Big Book of Bob. We got a hardcover, we got a paperback, and we got a digital file. This will be the first time it'll be released in a hardcover or paperback. So this is new, and this is unprecedented for the Bob series, the Bob Non-Union Psychic series. So this is brand new. This is fresh. This launch just happened last Friday. It was October 29th. So we're ready to get this out to the world. I mean, everybody wanted a book. Everybody wanted a print. So here it is.
What's the book about?
Well, you know, he's your friendly neighborhood renegade psychic professional hairstylist. It's off the wall, you know. I mean, it's all about the metaphor of non-union is just about fighting, you know, the gatekeepers. It's a metaphor about, you know, you don't need to get to that studio head, that agent, that big gigantic publisher to get your dream anywhere. So the metaphor is, you know, Bob he's a psychic, a powerful psychic. He has the opportunity to be involved with the fictional psychic union, but, you know, it's a gatekeeper. He's talented. He's a natural. But should he leap through rings of fire to please an entity just to get to them so that he can be represented? Or should he just be an independent? And that same approach, you know, he's a hairstylist. He owns a barbershop. You know, he doesn't have a bat cave. He doesn't have a Fortress of Solitude. He doesn't have a trust fund of money coming either way. So he's a small business owner that's struggling to make a living as an independent barber, hairstylist, and at the same time, you know, keep his identity. So the idea is the metaphor is, you know, you don't have to sell your soul to whatever entity to get anywhere in life. We're in a time where you can actually try to do things yourself and be successful without having to compromise your vision, your goal, your talent. So, I mean, that's the underlying theme of Bob. And on top of that, pure fun. Just you sit, you read, you look at great art, you enjoy a great story, a new character. There's new things out there in the world, and this is one of them. You know, it's fun to say that we've created a product that rivals anything the big 2 can do, artistic wise and story wise. To say, hey, look, independence doesn't mean low budget. Independence is quality. It's just it doesn't have the backing or that name brand to get out there to the masses. So, you know, it's all metaphoric. The Bob concept, but still in a true fun comic book story.
All right. Is issue 1, 2, 3? Is it all collective together?
It's all collected together. We did when we introduced Bob for the first issue about 5-6 years ago. We called it a book number 0 because it was just an introduction. We didn't know what was going to happen, but it was received extremely well in the indie world. So we did a book 1 and a 2. Everything had been received extremely well. And then I compiled it into a graphic novel with supplemental materials. So, you know, when you get a graphic novel, people hold out for the graphic novel rather than get the issues. Sometimes it lacks the covers. Sometimes it lacks supplemental materials. And when I mean supplemental materials, you're going to get all the covers. We're not going to rob you of that. All these beautiful covers that were made for each book. You're going to get character designs. You're going to get extra art. You're going to get a missing scene that was scripted that we didn't actually have illustrated. You're going to get insights into the film tie-in to Bob. You're going to get more than what you asked for in a normal graphic novel. So as an independent, man, you got to pull out all the stops. Yep. You know, you just can't do what everybody else does. You got to up the bar. So this book is loaded with not only 3 great stories, but some great supplementals that I hopefully will inspire other indie artists out there.
Okay. Can they get the single issues if they want to read them that way?
The single issues we pulled off the market just to make sure everybody gets everything all in one condensed effort. You're getting more for your buck in the graphic novel, I believe.
Yeah, I would say so. I love it when you read a book, then you go to the back and they have the character development or what the character looked like in the beginning, and this is what it is now. I absolutely love that.
Yeah, there's an awesome process behind it that people are always asking how it's done. So we try to include it in that. And we go the extra mile on the website at warehouse9pro.com. You know, we have the world of Bob. You can go there and see character dossiers. You can go there and see location specs to see where everything takes place, from his barbershop to a certain graveyard to the Psychic Union headquarters, everything. I mean, we try to create something that goes beyond just the book. So if you're interested in the book, oh, wow, maybe I'll go to the website and really get into the character details of why these characters existed and all the locations that revolve around, you know, where all the action takes place. So once again, we did everything we can to up the bar, not just create a book, but create a world that you can get immersed in. And that is, you know, whether it's on the web, whether it's a paperback book, and coming soon, a short film. That's a tie-in.
Where can people get news about the short film and what's coming out next?
We push everything through warehouse9pro.com and Any One World, and Twitter at my Twitter account at warehouse9 Ltd. LinkedIn, we do LinkedIn as well. Comics Crusaders, you're going to see everything spinning through a pretty vast indie team effort. There's a lot of people that are involved in this and a lot of people that are pushing it. So it's out there. Hopefully it'll get to the point where you won't have to search hard to find it. I think now it's becoming easier to single out and see. And with the film tie-in, with what else Warehouse 9 does, filmmaking, you'll be able to see more of it because it's a little bit more established than it was 5-6 years ago.
Okay. When's the short film coming out?
We're in production now. I hope to have it wrapped up actually not this weekend, but next weekend. And then I'm hoping I will have it completely done by March of next year. Now once again, Warehouse 9 Productions, we don't do HD movies. We do film shot on film. So it is old school. It is the truest form of filmmaking. So things take a little bit more time. And the spin-off of this of the comic book, Bob Non-Union Psychic, is actually following not him, but another character in the film going back 200 years ago, a hairstylist that existed 200 years ago, a guy that really existed. So we have stuff in the book that's based off history. You can go look up for fun. So once again, trying to give the masses more than what they expect. So when we decided to do a film spin-off, it wasn't the idea of, well, should we take the Bob character and do a Bob movie? And it was like, no, let's do his predecessor 200 years ago and have fun with it. Let's do something more grand. Let's go to the French court, French hairstylists. I mean, if you like Labyrinth, if you like Jim Henson, if you like Terry Gilliam, Time Bandits, The Adventures of Baron Munchausen, this is what this new film is. It's called Coiffier Extraordinaire Waiting for Le Gros. And it's French, it's goofy. We have puppets, we have cutouts, we have live action, we have miniatures. We're doing everything with practical effects like old school and just having a great time with it. And we think this is the way we'll up the bar and not just doing a spin-off of the comic book itself, but kind of just a taste of a character involved in the comic book to get you more interested in seeing the rest of the characters. So, there's a ploy behind it, But on the same token, I think we're going the right route of doing a period piece that's just about a guy fighting an evil wig in a castle. I mean, it's just bizarre. So as an independent, you have to raise the bar. You have to work extra hard for people to see you. Otherwise, you're gonna drown in that pool out there. No one's gonna find you.
Yeah. Wow. Yeah. I absolutely love the idea of this book, and I love what you're doing. What was the inspiration behind this book? Did you have anybody that tried to gatekeep you when you tried to first make comics?
It goes back actually to my filmmaking. The Bob story is now a 21-year-old story. We're going back, to the 90s, late 90s. I made a feature film and a shot on film here in Colorado. And it took a few years for me to finally get it done at its state 20 years ago, SD before HD. And then you have to start marketing it to the powers that be. Getting on a lot of tables, getting a lot of rejection, because I'm a nobody from nowhere, no stars, nothing. Once again, it's the independence aspect of, look, it's a great story, it's a great movie, but that wasn't enough for the powers that be. So out of frustration, I said, well, I gotta write a script. I gotta do something that kind of ties into what we have to put up with the proverbial gatekeepers that are all out there. It doesn't matter if it's film, publishing. So I wrote the script, and I had a few connections back in the day, and it landed on a few tables at a few big production companies, which it was ultimately rejected because this is way too expensive, and we don't know who you are, so we can't invest in you. Those are words. I'd rather hear you suck, you have no business being in this business, rather than it's all great, but we can't invest in you because you're a nobody. Okay, whatever. So I let it lie for almost 14 years before I contacted a buddy of mine who was a comics book creator, Adam Voley, who was also the co-writer and editor of the books. He was the comic book guy. I was the movie guy. I said, hey, man, we got to do something in the comic book world. And I threw Bob his way, and he's like, this is the one we have to do. So actually, book 0 is a condensed version of the screenplay. So it was already there. The characters, the world was laid out. So we did a one-off. It was like, let's see if anybody's even interested in this radical concept. And after we produced it and got it out to the world and got a lot of great reviews, it was like, well, maybe we need to keep going and keep doing these one-offs, but tie it into a world, not having such a stringent through line sometimes, which can get a little stale in books, the same villains, the same frustrations. It was like, let's not do that. Let's keep a through line, but let's create these one-offs that I think people will understand and correlate to the entire plot of the books. So we ended up doing that, and it turned out pretty well, and it went in directions that we didn't think it would go into, but we just went for it. So as of now, it's been a 21-year process to get a physical thing into somebody's hands. So once again, you're an independent. It's not a sprint. It's a marathon. You just have to keep pace and keep at it and not give up.
All right. Well, that leads me into my next question. What advice would you give to people out there that wants to get started or struggling to get started?
There's a ton of resources out there, and you got to do your homework. We live in an age where everybody wants things a little bit too instant, and they want their gratification fast, and that's just not reality. It's just not going to happen that way. That's not something you should get your hopes up for, but you got to do your homework. You got to study. I learned from Adam Voley how to make a comic book, and not only that, make it cinematic. It was like, okay, I don't want to just do a comic book. I'm a movie guy. So it goes back to just scripting it, the right formats, a format that's understandable, a format that your illustrator will understand, your budgetary costs, how much you want to spend, how much you don't want to spend. There's a lot of homework involved. And over at Comic Crusaders, I actually have an article how I did it all. I lay it all on the line for anybody that wants to know. It's called The Comics How To by Lance Lucero. And I take the very first issue of Bob and I say exactly how I did it from beginning to end. And if it's my way. It's maybe not the right way, but it got me to where we are now. So I'm an open book when it comes to knowledge. I'll tell anybody how it's done, because I know reality will strike that maybe a tiny percentage will even try. But so long as I said, hey, here it is, it's up to you. You have to have the wherewithal to do it. And tenacity is the key. You just have to keep at it and not give up.
Okay. With the current world events, are you attending Comic-Cons right now?
I haven't. That's the only thing that seems to be a little on the downslope. I think film festivals are coming back a little bit. But as far as the Comic-Cons, I haven't even heard any announcements of what's happening here in Denver, Colorado. And I'm aboard. I know that it's on the horizon. We have a push for it. We have the physical books. We want to do it. It's just, is it going to be feasible to do it? We want people to show up. We want people to be there. And geography is a big thing as well. In the Four Corner area, we have a pretty good hub here for Comic-Cons, but there just hasn't been any that's sparked any kind of massive interest for people. A little disconcerting, but that is a necessary thing to do, like a festival circuit. When you show a film, you show up, you shake a hand, you look somebody in the eyes, it always seems like something happens. Virtually, it seems it's played off a little bit. It just doesn't have the right feel. We need to get back into human contact. And I know that's going to take a little bit of time, but like anything, you just got to have patience. So we're hoping. All
right. So I guess when Comic-Cons come back, you're going to stay in the Denver area?
I would say predominantly. It looks like maybe Florida would be a good angle. I mean, I had a film play at the Orlando OmegaCon, which was it was a live event. We were unable to attend. Things were still a little hot around the planet at that time, so we just kind of we downplayed it. But we had another festival like in Las Vegas, and it was handled extremely well. So we went there, and everything was fine. Everybody was cool. But that's a drive away. That's a few hour drives away from where I'm at. It's economics, it's distance, it's how you play it nowadays in these tricky times. So better safe than sorry, I'd say.
Okay. Where can people see some of your earlier films?
Directly at warehouse9pro.com. It'll shoot you right over to my Vimeo page, and you can see trailers, existing films. Right now, my feature film, Hunting for Fish, it has a distributor. So you'll be able to see the trailer, but it is now, in the market. So it's looking for a nice place to land for public viewing. I have two short films, one called The Last Resort, a Western, that's in this festival circuit right now, and the same with another film called The Unmentionables, a cop dramedy, just something fun. So these are locked into the film festival circuit right now. So it's one of those things that if you want to see it, you got to go to a festival. So November 19th here in Denver, Colorado, we have the Denver Underground Film Festival that's happening, The Last Resort showcasing there. And we're waiting on a few more date announcements, but it looks like is that the LA Comic-Con is happening. So The Last Resort's going to be playing there through Geek Fest, and possibly Ontario, California Comic-Con. I believe that's on the docket in December as well. So things are working out pretty well all around, although we're not attending a Comic-Con, we have films playing there, shot on film. Although I have a feature and everybody's chomping at the bit to watch it, I'm like, well, it's in the distributor's hands. I actually have a distributor. They're going to find the proper place to put it, and then when I know where it's at, I will alert everybody where to go to watch it, on a nice quality streaming platform. I think as an independent, you got to reach for the stars, man. You just can't settle. You got to go for broke, even if you're borderline broke. You got to keep going.
Yeah. Well, thank you, Lance, for taking the time to come talk with us today. Is there anything you want to say before we go?
No, thanks for having me, and check out the book, Bob Non-Union Psychic, The Big Book of Bob, Volume 1, over at warehouse9pro.com and anyoneworld.com. I mean, it's a great book. It's independence, I think at its finest right now. I think we're competing. We're competing with the big leagues with this book. So it's something not to be missed.
All right. Thank you.
Thanks a lot.
What? You mean you haven't subscribed to Comic Chat Authority? Oh, come on. Subscribe already. What are you waiting for? It's no big deal. Like, man, don't forget to tell him to hit that like button. Yeah, that too. Just subscribe.